What is going on with the world? That is the question that everybody is asking themselves, but a lot of people don't actually know. So, what I'm going to do with this segment is we are going to be going into what is going on with the world. We are going to deal with the funny, the good, the bad, and the outright weird. Okay, so before we even get started, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Now, this channel is not a conservative channel. It's not a liberal channel. This channel is for everyone. It's not about black people. It's not about white people. It's about the world and how the things affect us all. Okay, now I will say, being a handsome black man, there may be some biases, okay? But that just comes with the territory. We all have our biases. However, what we are going to do is we're going to attempt to delve deep into what is actually going on in society today. So, let us first start with a man by the name of Jeffrey Sachs. Now, Jeffrey Sachs is a political analyst in America, and we've all been listening to the mainstream media, or maybe even not listen to the mainstream media. And this is what he had to say about impending nuclear war upon the world.
60 years ago, this month, or in October, we were at the hair's breadth of nuclear conflict. And the United States was ready for a nuclear war. And in fact, had Kennedy's advisors prevailed on Kennedy to launch an attack against Cuba in the Cuban Missile Crisis, as all of his advisors said, we would have had a full nuclear war. And we're playing with this fire right now. Putin is not bluffing. And Zelensky is completely wrong to say we're going to militarily defeat Russia and push them out of Crimea.
He actually says that Zelensky is wrong. Okay, that is not really a narrative that we've been spun in the West from the mainstream media. Why is Zelensky wrong? Well, he's going to go into it. He's going to let you know. One of the things I will also say is that we need to be very careful of where we get our news from, because a man like Jeffrey Sachs does not generally go onto your mainstream Channel 4s, BBC 1s, CNNs, ABCs, Fox Newses. Okay, what happens with people like Jeffrey Sachs is that he's been doing this embedded within the governmental structure, and these are his conclusions.
Because if that happens, there will be a nuclear war before that ends. And we should tell him that. But we don't speak the truth either in the international scene. The Ukrainians are reckless in their rhetoric. Okay, they're fighting an aggressor, but we cannot have a nuclear war over this issue. And we have no plans to avoid one right now. From Russia's point of view, this is a core security challenge. And Crimea means a lot to Russia, more than we perhaps understand. And so this loose talk is absolutely reckless and provocative. And the Ukrainian leadership says, well, there may be a nuclear war. That's reckless talk too. It's all over the place right now. Even Israel, which by the way is the 10th nuclear power, just they don't say it, but come on. We have 10 nuclear powers. The Prime Minister of Israel stood in the podium and threatened Iran with war last week. I was sitting right in front of him in the General Assembly. That's also reckless. So we have a lot of reckless talk all over the place. Nothing's under control right now, nothing. And since everything is lies and messaging and sound bites, it's even worse than usual, because everybody's pandering for a news cycle. No one is being sensible and reasonable behind the scenes even. There is no behind the scenes. There's only the pandering of the news cycle.
Well, this is what. Sorry.
There is only a pandering of the news cycle, is what he says. If we watch the news and we see how it goes down, we will see that people are so heavily embedded within their political parties, within being either right or either left, that, like he says, there's too much reckless talk. There's not enough compromise going on, because everybody is so staunch within their beliefs that the left is wrong or the right is wrong that they can't see the wood from the trees.
Just to follow up, if I can, because as I remember the Cuban Missile Crisis, which we still debate, basically there was a kind of secret deal, private deal, between the Americans and Khrushchev, so that the Russians, the Soviets, pulled their missiles out, and we pulled our missiles out of Turkey.
Yes.
And we pretended that had nothing to do with anything.
Right.
Do you see that? Is there a potential for this kind of conversation in the current conflict? Or, as you say, do you think people are just talking past one another? I mean, is there serious diplomacy? I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, going on. Yeah.
The best book written on this topic was written a couple of years ago called Gambling with Armageddon by the historian Martin Sherwin. I recommend everybody read it. It's brilliant. He passed away the following year. He had spent his whole life on nuclear diplomacy. And this is absolutely the most remarkable hour-by-hour account of what happened in the Cuban Missile Crisis. The Cuban Missile Crisis was ended by compromise. Unfortunately, and I love President Kennedy and wrote a book about him about the year following the Cuban Missile Crisis in his pursuit of the Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. But Kennedy did one thing which damaged the follow-up. He kept secret the fact that the crisis was ended by diplomacy. It was not ended by a showdown. But in the public imagination, it was ended by a showdown that Kennedy won and that Khrushchev
Compromise
lost.
is what actually helps. So many people are so embedded within their political stances that they can't see that saying that you're a Republican, saying that you're a Democrat, vilifying one side over the other side, and not coming to a middle ground and a compromise is what is going to lead us into this quagmire of war. I don't believe that anybody on the ground like us actually want a war. However, what is going on is that people are separating themselves along political lines, and what they are doing is that they are creating enemies out of each other. Once you create enemies and dialogue is off the table, war is always going to be the next logical step. I, as a person who lives in the West, and you as a person who lives in the West or doesn't live in the West, okay, you know that war is the last option. However, are we willing to put aside our political affiliations and come to an agreement on what is best for humanity? Not just best for Democrats, not just best for Republicans, not best for conservatives, not best for liberals. Are we willing to put aside those things and say, look, the bottom line is we don't want this, and this is what must happen for it not to happen? I don't know. We live in very scary times at the moment, it seems. And it seems like a lot of people are speaking about things that actually don't really matter in the grand scheme. Okay? We are sat, and it's part of the program that I think has been set within us as human beings, that we are supposed to squabble over things, while the people in the elite positions are the ones that are going to be the one running things. And those are the people that really get things done. Those are the people that are going to adversely affect your life. However, what they have us doing as the normal people is squabbling about things like race and religion and relationships and all this kind of stuff. Now, those things are actually important, but what is actually going to adversely affect your life are things like war. And what I see is that, just like Jeffrey Sachs has said, there's a lot of reckless talk from people when it comes to war. War is not a good thing. Okay, millions of people die, and we are living in a time where nuclear war, okay, not just regular war, nuclear war could end hundreds of thousands with the push of a button. Now, that's just my view, okay? And like I said, I could be biased. However, I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm not politically conservative, I'm not politically Republican, I'm not politically liberal, I'm not politically Democrat. Okay, what I am is a human being living on this planet just like you. Okay, and if we don't understand as human beings that we are supposed to come to some kind of compromise, then the future, my friends, is looking a little bit bleak. Now, tune in for the next episode of What is Going On in the World. We're going to break this down. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll be back with some more news.